Okay, we just switched around in order or the schedule a little bit. So we start with Ashwin Kutty. Welcome. Ashwin Kutty is a corporate strategist, an executive leader and angel investor. He is the president and CEO of We Us Them Inc., a strategic marketing and communications agency and management consultancy firm that has worked with clients such as the Kempinski Group, Dalhousie University, the IWK Health Center, Equifax, Xerox, Wilson's Fuel Company, as well as the governments of Egypt, Canada, Guyana, Saudi Arabia, to name just a few. Ashwin is also an adjunct professor with the graduate schools of management, health professions, and computer science at Dalhousie University. He's an overseas graduate research for graduate and lifelong learners across the various schools. As an admirer of small business, Ashwin is a business advisor, mentor, and board member for new venture startups in a variety of industries, as well as for seasoned businesses looking for advice, support, and strategies. Please help me give a warm welcome to Ashwin Kutty.
It's too long about the next time you're just going to cut it in half and move on.
Will do.
Okay. Thanks for accommodating the switch. I wanted to talk today a bit about web and social. Since it's a smaller group, we'll keep this very casual, so if you have any questions or if you want to interject, please do, don't hesitate. This is meant to be a bit of fun and get a bit of information as well. So the question, or the point is, I'm an ad agency guy, we've got marketing communications work that we do in Halifax, and I'm today telling you that it's not about web and social. When we look at, before I get there, just to give you a bit of who I am, and where you can reach me, those are some of my coordinates. If you'd like to hit me up at any time, whether it's through Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, please feel free to get in touch with me. And I'll flip this again once I'm done the presentation. But when I talk about, the different types of solutions that are out there for businesses today, everybody keeps talking about websites, everybody keeps talking about social networks, and what you can do there. The three top social, or the trinity of social networks for small businesses and businesses combined seems to be LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And so the question really is, whether or not getting an account, setting it up, is really the answer. Getting a website put up there is really the answer. And is that the be-all, end-all of being on the web? So these are just some of the possibilities that you can look into, even explore, before you look at traditional website and social. Bold statement: don't create, build, or buy websites. I've come across so many small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large businesses, and all they keep telling me is, we've met this web designer, I've got this web designer that I know, I put up the website, and these are the types of websites you end up looking at. These are the types of homegrown or plain Jane websites that you see come up for different companies. What is your website supposed to be? It's supposed to be a virtual storefront. And so if it's supposed to be a virtual storefront, is that how you represent your business? Is that how you represent your products and services? And we'll get into a bit of detail shortly. But the bigger point being, if really, it's about building a website, perhaps don't do it. If you're a small business, you're a local business, even if you're a medium-sized business and your customers and your clients are here, or even accessible to you, why do it? It's an overhead, it's a cost. So not just for development of it, but also the upkeep of it, or even paying for storage, paying for hosting, paying for people upgrading it over time, costs money. So why do it? It's an overhead, especially when you have things looking like that. What I would argue is we have to move away from building websites. And I'm guessing you guys probably thought that I was going to hit this at some point because I could not stand up here and just say don't build websites. So it's about building online properties. It's about building what I see in the physical world. So when I see a physical storefront, and when I see so when you walk down Main Street as an example here, you see different storefronts. To me, it's all about creating the virtual storefront. What is that online property? What is it that you're trying to build? And when you do, what does it look like and how does it represent you? Because it does say something about you as an organization, it says something about you as a business. When we look at some of these pieces, some of the components that I focus on, and I'm a very number-friendly guy. So when I look at some of these things, the question is, what's important? What do you want people to take away from your online property? What is it that you're trying to convey? Are you just an informational source? Are you a knowledge exchange mechanism? Are you trying to educate your consumers on your products and services? Or is it actually a virtual storefront? Think of it in the traditional world. So in the traditional world, I buy a small office space, lease it, whatever be the case. I even, whether it's a retail outlet or whether it's an office, I do that. I have a front store. I put up some mannequins, perhaps, if I'm a fashion retailer or a clothing retailer. If I'm an eatery, I put up some beautiful pictures of food or related cuisine type imagery. So whether it's an Italian cuisine, whether it's Greek or what have you, you decorate in that fashion. So is that what we should be showcasing? Is that what we should be showing? And that's how I look at the online property. It has to be a reflection of what your physical storefront would look like. And the reason it should is because we spend so much time on the physical storefront, we forget about what the virtual storefront should look like. We forget about why there isn't a tie, a harmony between the physical to the virtual. And that's what we're trying to do here. So when we look at some of these data points, which really interest me, the question is, who came? Who actually came to your storefront? When people come into your store, if you're a small retailer, like a food outlet, if you go down to Halifax, there are food or restaurants all around town, and if you walk in and you told them, did Ashwin come in here today? No, he was here yesterday. They know me so well because I take care of myself. I go out and I eat and I drink and be merry, I guess. But they all know me by face. They know who I am. Why don't you know who your consumers are online? And I'm not talking about getting into people's privacy. I'm not talking about getting their names, getting their IP addresses, none of that stuff. What I'm saying is, what type of consumer actually came to your storefront? Try to understand who that individual is. Try to create those personas because that actually makes a difference. When we also look at who came, now the question is, why did they come? Because we really need to know what the purpose of their visit was. It's not just about, such as like our website as an example. WeAsThem.com, if you go to our website, is an information source. It tells you exactly what we do. There's no transactional stuff that happens there. We don't conduct business online. What we try to do is we try to showcase the type of work we do, so potentially we can attract new clients, new talent, new consumers. What would be the case? It's an information source. What's your purpose in life? What's your purpose for your storefront? And realistically speaking, when your consumers come in, what are they doing there? So who are they and what are they doing there? Then we look at where did they come from? Why is that important? I was at a gala last night, and I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I was actually getting an award, and I'm quite pleased with myself about it. It was in Ottawa, and there was a speech by Sir Terry Matthews. Matthews, yes, I think it is. The Mytel guy, and if you know anything about him, he has started near close to 100 businesses in Canada. He has been extremely successful. He's the chair of the Canada Alliance. He's very well known. He's actually got the Order of Canada. And so when he was giving the speech, he started talking about, if I asked everybody in this room, and there were sponsors from TELUS to Microsoft to Ericsson to Motorola, a whole bunch of organizations represented with all their senior execs, and as well medium to small size businesses nationally. So we had people from coast to coast, right up from Halifax or Newfoundland to all the way to BC. And he asked the question, if I were to ask you last quarter, who targeted Turkey? Who targeted the Philippines? Who targeted Nigeria? Who targeted India or China? And he actually asked the question of the audience and he said, can anybody put their hand up and tell me who did that? And not one individual could do that realistically because they said that we are an international company, so are we as them, and does a lot of work internationally, but specifically target a country, why? His response was, have you seen the latest results from the NRC? The latest stats that the NRC, the National Research Council, has put out states that Turkey, Nigeria, India and China are some of the countries that are now coming to the top 15 by GDP, based on their population today, they're actually rising very quickly. And the question is, why are we not targeting those countries? Why are we not talking to those countries? So when I say, why is it important to know where they're from, if you're a local business and you're a small business and you want a local, target local, that's great. But if you're looking to grow that and you want to expose yourself to international markets, you have to know where people are coming from. And if they're not coming from the places that you want to target, then what can we do to make sure that actually happens? And that's the reason for knowing where they come from. When they come to your online property, the question is, what do they look at? Because you need to know what works and what does not work. If one product works and it's your key product, your key service, and everybody hits it but nobody else hits, or nobody hits anything else, or they're coming to look at one specific thing, it tells you something about your online property. It tells you something about what they want to do. When you look at traditional, again, retail outlets, when you look at traditional food outlets, when you go into a restaurant, you order the same thing over and over and over again, or you buy the same type of clothing over and over again, or you have it through multiple consumers, they're tracking that information. They're tracking what you are buying. And the reason they're doing that is because that's knowledge, that's powerful. Tomorrow, when I go into my new season, when I go into the fall season or the winter season, I align it based on the likes and dislikes of my consumer base. Why is that not important online? And why is that missed online? And that's the question. Finally, you've got to find out, where did they leave you? Where did you lose them? And why did they leave you? So if they were reading something on a page, they were looking at something on a page, where did they go and why? For what purpose? Knowing that is key. Knowing where people are leaving and jettisoning from your website is important. And the reason it's important is because it's telling you something about you are presenting to the individual. Either they didn't like it, they didn't find what they were looking for, or they were just too sick and tired of your website, they needed to go somewhere else. But the question is, why did they leave? And that's important. Knowing where the exit points are is as important as knowing where the entry points are, and that needs to be known. I get this often. Some of the clients who round off, they're large clients, they have a lot of deep pockets, they have huge teams, and they do a lot of collecting of data, analysis of the data, executives want this information and what have you. When you talk about small businesses or small to medium-sized businesses, the question always comes up, do I have the time? I don't have the time. Between doing my bookkeeping, between fulfilling every legislative requirement that I have, all the government agencies are on my back, I go to my taxation, I go to pay my staff, I go to order product, I go to have a store or an outlet that works. Where do I have the time to do it? I guess my question is, do you not have the time to do it? And is it not important to make sure that if this is one of your channels for sales, would you not want it aligned in a fashion that actually suits your needs? Now, what if I told you that in today's day and age, what we can do, or not we, but anybody else, what we can do with online property data is that we can actually harmonize it. We can tell you a story. And if you're talking to people, and if you're talking to individuals about these websites that you're building, the question that you have to ask yourself is not the traditional, oh, do you do SEO? Now, everybody knows what SEO is. Nobody can actually run off what the what it actually comes out to in search engine optimization. But who cares? You come up on the top 10 list. Now I come to your website. Looks terrible. I'm not finding what I want to. I leave. So great that you're coming up on the top 10 results. Are you actually turning that into consumers? Are you making money? And that's the question. And so when we harmonize the results, we bring it together to tell a story. And that's what you need to ask your online property developers, is that when I put it together, can you give me that information? When you are at a retail outlet, that's the knowledge is gathered from your staff. So when they're there, and I walk into a fashion outlet, and I walk in and I do something, I pick up something and I ignore something, they tell you, you know what, I've been noticing a trend. People have just been ignoring the entire section for some reason. Maybe it's hidden, maybe something's going on there. We need to do something about that. We look at loyalty cards, and I don't need to pick on air miles, but let's pick on them. Why do you think loyalty cards exist? And most of you know the answer to this. It's not to give you points, it's not to make you guys happy, it's not about that. It's about trending consumer behavior. It's about trending consumer patterns. What is it that you're buying, when are you buying it, and how much are you willing to spend? And the reason for that is because I can now target back to you what products and services would be appealing to you at what time and in what period in the year. And what is your price sensitivity? What is your age group? What's your gender? What is your preference in one category as opposed to another category? That's what loyalty cards are. It's a collection, it's basically a collection of individual personas that they are creating so that they can individually target you. And so if they are doing that, they know something that we don't know in the small to medium-sized business worlds. And that is that there is power in the knowledge that we gather from our consumers. And if consumers are not willing to give it up, they are willing to give it to you subconsciously. They're just doing it. They're coming online to your online property, and they're seeing different things. They're not liking some things, they're liking other things, and they're walking away. Or they're actually converting, they're actually being not just the looky-loos, they're actually becoming consumers. And so if they're becoming consumers to your product or service, and they're paying you for it, your question should be, how did I manage to convert that individual to a consumer? Because that conversion cost is so high, the answer to that question will drive how I can make that conversion much more simpler. If I can make that conversion much more simpler, much more cheaper for me, then my overhead goes down. I don't have to do the ads, I don't have to do the TV, the radio, the print ads, because now I know what the answer is. I know what brought this individual here and how I got them to purchase something from me. Harmonized information. So if we had a small business, I don't have all this time, but I put it all together, and we focused on 3 basic things. So the first one will be product and catalog statistics. Why is that important? That's where the money is. That's where you actually generate revenue from. Unless you're an informational source, I mean, if you're a government agency and you don't really care whether or not you generate revenue, that's one thing. But again, I refer back to my last evening, there were a lot of insights that came through. There was the lady from the CEO of, I forget her name, it's so unfortunate. The CEO of the Canadian Museum of, what's the museum? Of nature, right, in Ottawa. And I think it was nature anyways. It was a museum regardless. She started talking about innovation, she started talking about what they do as far as ideation is concerned, what they think of when execution is concerned. To them, sharing of information and knowledge is big. To them, it's not about the cost, because as far as they're concerned, they are an independent NGO that actually gets funding from either outside, or they get their grants, or they get their funding partially from the government as well. So they really don't care about tracking sales, but what they do care about tracking is how much information is consumed by each individual every time they send something out. Now, whether they send something out through their website, whether they send something out through another channel, they want to know what people consumed, how they consumed it, where they consumed it, and what exactly was actually consumed. Because that drives what their business should look like. If there are enough people interested in their business, because it's an informational source, and if they know that many people are consuming it, they can make the argument that, with these many people coming to us, they like what we give them, now give me money, give me the funds, give me the funding that I need to actually drive this further. What if I told you that the page statistics and content statistics are 2 other key components that you need to know? Why is page statistics important? And I don't mean page as in I need to know how many people clicked on it. I need the whole story. How many people clicked on it? How many people sat on it and looked at it for a certain period of time? I need to know what they were doing there. So if they looked at an image, if they clicked on a link from there, whatever it is, I need to know all those pieces of information as to what they did on that specific page. Then I need to know it at a content level, because you can look at it from a site level, from a page level, or a structural level, and then you can look at it at an individual content piece level. So when they consume a piece of content, be the product in your catalog. So whether it is, I don't know, if it's home hardware and you're looking for a hammer and you looked at a specific hammer that you were looking at, why was that content more important than anything else that was in that store? And during Father's Day, if we saw an uptick on that, then we know that everybody out there is crazy about hammers during Father's Day. The little light goes off. I'm trying to simplify this, but the point being that we need to know some basic statistics about what's happening on our online property, some basic data. What if it took you only an hour? Is an hour worth it on a weekly basis to look at this data? And if it isn't, the question is, why isn't it? Do you spend that much time reorganizing some of this, or consuming some of this information, consuming some of this data, and reorganizing your physical store? And if you do, I guess my argument is, Why is it not done online? Why is it not done through a virtual online storefront? Then we come to the sustainability piece of your online property. One of the things that I find amazing is that people talk about developing a website, putting it online, and then we forget about that it's actually up there. Why do we not care about actually sustaining it, actually making it something that's actually worth looking at? This is a physical storefront of I'm not going to name it, some people may know what it is. It's a physical storefront of a second-hand retailer on Agricola Street in Halifax that went out of business, I think, about 10 years ago or so. And this property remained exactly as is from the day that they were running to the day they actually closed. And it went into this level of disrepair. Is this how you would like your storefront to be, shown as or showcased as? If your answer is yes, I guess I have to ask the question, why are you in business? If your answer is no, then I guess my question is, then why is it acceptable to be online? Because the reflection of this is the same as what I showed you initially in terms of what I consider similar disrepair or similar storefronts in disrepair. And if the online store is important to you, just like the physical store, you should never let it get to this point. And what it needs to get to this point is not just the beautiful visuals and the functionality and the movement here and there. It's about everything. It's about the entire package. And so there is a sustainability, there's a life to a store. And if you can get that life, and if you can put that, you can maintain and sustain that life over time, you're actually showcasing to your consumers that you actually give a damn about your own online property. If you don't, who's going to walk through those doors? No one is. And so when they come to your online property, why would they go any further? Your exit point, your statistics would show, would be the first time they actually saw something like this. Or maybe they went one level further and then they left. So sustaining your online property is important. I kind of skipped over something, but
Yeah.
I actually talked about it, so just for back. Sorry. I guess my point's already made. Social networking. So talked about online properties quite a bit, let me talk a little bit about social networking. If there was somebody over here that was gung-ho about social networking, or there is right now that's gung-ho about social networking, please leave the room. And the reason I say that is because you're not going to like what I just said, what I'm going to say in about a second. Social networking, to me, is one of the biggest, most creative scams in the marketing world that's ever come across. Any agency that tells you, listen, I'm going to help you with your social network. I'm going to help you create success through your social network. The question is, I'm sorry, what exactly are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me online? Because I don't understand this, because I don't understand social networking. I've never created an account, so I don't know what it is. Well, we'll design it, we'll create a strategy for you, we'll put something on there. And you need to be online, you need to be on the social network, you need to have accounts on all these different networks that are out there. Okay, to what end? And so when I look at social networks and social networking, I guess I'm going to ask the question, when did we stop being social? Facebook is great, Twitter is great, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be there, and I'm not saying that over 1 billion users of all these different networks are wrong. All I'm saying is, as a business, when did we stop being social? As humans, when did we stop being social? Are we all antisocial? I'd love to meet all of you at the end of this talk just to prove that I'm not antisocial. But the question is, when did we stop being social? Because it almost seems as if we are trying to mimic what we used to do in real life online. And so I guess the question that I keep looking at is, were we ever social? And I've gone back and looked at some of the data points of this. So social interaction goes back to the days of the chimpanzees, goes back to the days of the apes. So 52 million years ago, we saw primates coming together. 16 million years ago, we saw social structures being formed between apes, between monkeys. We had New World TT monkeys coming together based on gender. And so you had, male tribes and female tribes. Gorillas were, They were a social structure of their own. They had harems. So you had one guy and you had multiple females. Completely acceptable in their society. But social structures are that old. When we look at social structures in this fashion, and we look at how old social structures are, I guess I have to ask, when did we stop being social, or when did we start being social to that point? There's a British anthropologist that actually talks about social trends and social structures. He's done a whole bit of research on it. You should probably look it up if you're interested. His note was that as human beings, in a social structure or in a social network that's real, that's not online, we cannot have more than 150 people that we are connected to. As human beings, we cannot process that many social interactions. Not true social interactions anyways. We can have connections, we can have acquaintances, but a true social network where you interact with the individual, where you actually interact on a daily basis, maybe not a daily basis, but a regular basis, more than 150 people, the humans don't have the capacity to do that. So if that's the case, and if we know that, then we look at the historical norm and we see how far back did it go. Well, around 10,000 years ago, we saw that social interaction started up in humans as well. And so I guess I ask, what has changed in this time? How did Facebook do so well? It was a communication tool. How did the word social network get associated with it? And how did we start talking about we need to be social? How did we start telling businesses you need to be social? But for businesses, antisocial. Which antisocial business actually does business? Which antisocial business earns or has a revenue stream? So if I walk into, again, I take my traditional small business, examples. If I go into a food outlet or a retailer and I walk into it, I've got people not talking to me, getting upset at me when I ask them questions. If I want to check it out, they just give me the brush off and they tell me to check myself in or do it myself or what have you. Does that actually happen in business? Now please don't say things like Air Canada because that's an exception. But beyond that, is there any other exception out there? So are businesses traditionally antisocial? When we talk about social interaction, we talk about, is it that complex? Do we not know people? Do we not know how to interact with people? Is it that much of a mystery? Do we need to be educated on social networking? When we look at it as a business, the one thing that I talk about is, some of the things that come across my desk and people talk to me, and businesses come and talk to me about their social networking gains, their social networking examples, I classify them as flawed social networking. I've got great examples and I just want to run through some of them with you. Follow me and I'll follow you back. I'm sorry and excuse my French, but what the hell does that mean? Who do we follow? Do I follow you and I tell you, listen, if I keep following you, you're going to follow me back in reality? Do I say in reality that, listen, here's my business card, now please make sure that you give me a business card too because really I'm interested in who you are and what you are and we need to talk to each other. You come up and tell me, I don't even know who you are, what are you talking about? Introduce yourself, say hello, say something. What does follow me and follow you back mean? When we do this sort of follow me and follow you back strategy, which is quite common and it's huge, people develop large networks. Great. So we're following 100,000 people and I've got 100,000 followers. To me, that's noise. How do you filter through that noise? And how do you filter as a business through that noise to get to the real consumer that's truly following you because they either love your business or they care so much they want to know when the next level of the product or next version of the product is going to come out or the next new innovation from your company is going to come out. How do you go through that? Oh wait, we've got third-party products that we can now buy to filter out the noise. Fantastic. So we keep growing our network and we keep building it up and then we buy third-party software, more overhead, more money, and I'm the money guy, I'm the numbers guy. We put it on top and we say now let's filter through all of that and get really the cream of the entire crop. Well, you would have had the cream if you didn't have all this noise around you. Give me $5 for 25 new followers. Anybody in this room, and you don't have to volunteer, do that? Because 25 new followers means I need to create 25 new unique accounts, I need to associate it with 25 new Gmail addresses, and I give it to you. That's about half an hour of my time. How does that help you? How does that help you as a business? As an individual, maybe there is some sort of an ego trip there where you really need to have many followers and it's fantastic. As a business, how does it help you? RT please, retweet my thing, or like my thing, please. It's desperation. If people like what they see, they are going to do that because they want to, they want to share it with their followers. They want to share it with people that they know. If I come and tell you a story, now I've talked to you about this session, some of you may like it, some of you may not. Perhaps you may use an anecdote or two and walk away and say, you know what, Ashwin, I don't know where he came from, what he did, and what have you, he was talking a lot, and he said something came out of it. I like this part of it. That moves. The rest of it that you didn't like is not going to move. I'm not going to tell you right now, oh, by the way, did you see my little @ sign with the Twitter handle before? Please keep retweeting and tweeting at me and quoting me all the time. I'm not going to say that. It means nothing. All it means is that you're literally taking everything for literally and putting it down. What I'm saying is that you need to find quality, not quantity, in your followers. When we talk about all of these different social networks, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, they all follow a similar model. They all follow this model of the more likes you get, the more followers you get, you keep rising up to the top. And they all talk about not the network you create. So I've got 15 friends here. It's not about these 15 friends. It's about the 15 friends that each one of you know, and the 15 friends that each one of them know. Great. Here's my question as a business. When I don't have time to run my own business, and I've got all this administrative overhead that I've got to do, and I've got to go to my online property statistics because Ashwin said so, now I've got to go and manage not just one level of connections, but 2 levels and 3 levels of connections? To what end? If it generates revenue, no question. If it does not, what is the purpose? Are you an informational source? Are you noise? I mean, you can go and shout in the square. You're in the town hall, you can shout outside the square as loud as you want. A couple of people are going to stop by and look and hear what you're saying. They're actually just going to ignore you. They're just going to keep passing by. Is that what you want to do? It's noise. I'll leave the quote for yourselves. Social networking common sense. Just some basic things. I keep talking about social interaction, and I know this is like a tired phrase, but what's wrong with just being social? And when I say be social, it means be you. So if you are nice and pleasant as an individual, in person, why not do that online? If you're the opposite, that's just as not good for your business, but why not do that online too? At least it shows some sort of, authenticity, or your authentic self as far as I'm concerned. When you connect with people, connect with true people, connect with a customer. Ask a customer and find out who the customer is and ask who they are, what they are. Connect with them. They bought into you. There's a true consumer. That's who you want to talk to. And that consumer, if they like your product or service, is going to get you more consumers because their network matters. Because if they bought your product, they bought your iPad, and they like it, they're going to tell the whole world, guess what, I bought this iPad, and it's from this company that I'm connected to. There's value in that. Connect with a true customer. When we talk about partners, if you've got partners in the industry, so people that you work with, everybody has vendors, suppliers, what have you. If you have those sorts of partners, or if you partner up with people to sell your products and services, licensing arrangements and what have you, why wouldn't you connect with them? They have a huge network of their own. Let them promote you as you would promote them. Use it. Use that networking capacity. Then we talk about promoters, people who are influencers, people who will actually talk about your product because that's all they do, they talk about products. Connecting with them matters because they want to talk about the new and greatest thing in the market. Every time a small business opens up in town, there's someone talking about it. If it's a front retailer that's actually on the main street, people pass it by, they take a picture, they talk about it, and they want to be the first ones to talk about it. If they say something, connect with them. It doesn't have to be good or bad, it just needs to be that they actually said something. Therefore, this individual is now promoting your business in some fashion. And if they've got a decent enough following, now suddenly you have traction for your own business, for people to know who you are. That matters. When we look at engagements, and I'll come to that in a second, but engagement is one of those words that's used in social networking a lot. You need to engage with people. engagement is big. Social networking is all about engagement. And what really, really upsets me, and I'm going to come down to it in a second, is when people say, it's not about business. Social networking is all about engagement. And I'll talk to you about that in a second. When we see some of these views and examples that are brought forward, this is actually a real example of what that has been brought forward to me once. Ashwin, you're talking to me about a client that you had that had 14,000 shares. What does that mean? Who cares? Do you know that I posted this on Facebook and it was shared 270,000 times? I looked at him in amazement and I said, that's wonderful. Absolutely brilliant. And then I had a pause and I said, now how much money did you make off of that? His answer was shock and awe. He didn't know what to tell me. His answer was nothing, zero. I said, how did you turn 270,000 likes on Facebook to $1? His answer was, I don't know how. I didn't know what, it just got shared. I'm like, so you have access to that many people that actually liked what you posted, but none of them bought what you were selling. Well, I wasn't really selling anything. I was talking about the product, what you could do with it and what have you. I said, fantastic. Are any of them consumers? No. So it was just shared. Yep. So I told him, the 14,000 shares that I was giving you an example of, within a month, we sold about $35,000 worth of product for that 14,000 shares. And I'm not talking about my company, please don't take me wrong, you can go with anybody else, but what I'm saying is, that matters. If I can convert shares and likes to dollars and cents, people, let me tell you, that's business. It doesn't matter that it was shared 270,000 times. People are going to forget about you because people are so quick to press the little favorite and like button that anything gets liked today. A nonsensical cartoon that gets shared gets liked today. That's not business, that's just a cartoon. How does that translate to money? How does that translate to dollars and cents? Somebody once told me this, Ashwin, you're an agency, you should know this. You should have at least 5 tweets a day, 5 posts a day. And again I asked, to what end? If I have nothing to say, what am I going to be saying? I'm going to be talking to the news that's going to be happening in town. So I'm going to go to the Chronicle Herald, the Globe and Mail, the National Post, and I'm going to retweet what they said or rewrite what they said. As a business, how does that help me? If it's not aligned with me as a business, what does 5 posts a day do for me? Tell me this, if you post once a day, and it converts to consumers as opposed to 5 times a day, which it does not, which one's more valuable to you as an organization, as a business? I mean, the answer is simple. It's all about how you convert your sharing to dollars. And we don't need fancy applications. We don't need Hootsuite to tell us all our statistics. It's common sense. If we can't generate revenue based on what we share, it doesn't matter. It's great to engage with people. It's great to be social. We are all social. I was at a gala last night, had a great old ball, great old time. Didn't actually earn any money. I came back, actually, $1,500 in the hole because I actually traveled to Ottawa. But there was something associated with it, so I went and did that. My point is that if you're going to be doing all those things, how do you translate that to dollars and cents? How does 5 posts a day matter? So my point, social networking is not about business, it's about engagement. Business is what you do through the business channels. Social is what we do for engaging our consumers. What does engagement mean? Do we as businesses not engage our consumers? And do we not translate that into some sort of consumption, some sort of sale, some sort of dollars and cents? When people come into our store and we engage them to say, hi, good evening, how are you? Were you looking for something? Can I help you with something? Did you know that we have a sale on this? Or, this is our specials today. Or, these are my products and services, which one would you be interested in? Or, whatever be that line, are we not engaging with consumers? And so is that not part of business? So how do you take business out of the equation? How do you say social networking is about engagement, but not business? When engagement is all we need as far as business is concerned. Do we just set up shop and we play out like the Kevin Costner movie, build them and they will come? I'm telling you, we're not a ball field with goats coming out of the little farm. It's not going to happen. We're small to medium-sized businesses. Even large businesses can't do that. We can't afford to. You see, I'm very passionate about this stuff. I love this. Beautiful website, got it done by a designer just yesterday. Paid next to nothing for it. Fantastic. Now what? What do we do now? We've done this. We've built it. Now what? There's no answer to that. And I get flabbergasted when I hear those sorts of things. Well, it's online. Okay. I'm supposed to build a website. You're an agency guy. You're supposed to know this. We're supposed to have websites. Seriously? You're supposed to have social networks. You're supposed to create accounts. Yep. So what are you doing in my office? And I'm not trying to be curt. I'm not trying to be rude. But I guess my question is, if it does not drive the bottom line, again, what difference does it make? And so if we develop a beautiful website, we put it together, and we have no sales, did we do it just so I can come to you and say, this is my business card, my website's on here? To say that I've actually got a domain name, I've actually got something that represents my company? I did that, by the way, before getting in the camera, by the way. So I guess the question is, why do it? Some people tell me, you know what, we're local. We believe in local. Our consumers are local. Our source of product is local. Our vendors are local. I don't have to worry about websites. I don't have to worry about doing any of these social networking things. People know who I am. They come in and buy because I'm here. I'm local. Fantastic. I go to Terry's point again, which is, what happens tomorrow? What happens when the consumer demographic changes? What happens when you have a different type of consumer now trying to consume your product or service? Do you need them? And do you want them? You know, one of the classic examples that I have is, we are very closely attached to healthcare. We're very closely attached to education. We have them as clients. I think you mentioned Dal and IDK as an example. We're even attached to Capital Health as an example. And educational institutions internationally. The question is, has the demographic of that learner changed? Has the demographic of that patient changed? We're talking about things like doing what we did in Star Trek 10 years ago by creating tricorders. And we're still talking about filling out 15 bloody papers that say the exact same thing. If your consumers are changing by the time, and if your consumers are demanding something different, why are you not adapting? Or why are you not forecasting that, projecting that? So today, local is great. I've got my consumer base here. Are they going to be here tomorrow? We have one of the largest brain drains out of this province in Canada. We have brain drains occurring across Canada. We are fighting for talent across the board. And they're either migrating south or they're moving west. Or east in some cases. They're going for greener pastures. If our consumers are shifting and we're getting a huge influx of international people, international residents, is that demographic changing? Absolutely. And if it is, how are we targeting this new demographic that's so mishmashed that we need to create individual consumer personas per consumer? We can't have a consumer of one, we need to have a consumer of each individual consumer. How do we do that? And how do we keep saying that, no, you know what, my business is here, don't have to worry about it? I'll be done. My last thought, and I say this everywhere, and I say this even in my class, that I teach sometimes in Dal when my mood suits me, I guess, or when it's fun to do it. It's all about money. It's not a bad word. Anybody who says otherwise is not into business. It is about money and nothing else. If it does not drive your bottom dollar, do not add more overhead to your work. If you do well without websites and you don't believe in it, don't build websites. If you do well without social networks and you don't want to invest in it, don't do it. I've just made a couple of arguments as to why you should be doing it in a strategic way. The question is whether or not you want to invest in it in a strategic way. But at the end of the day, it's about the mighty dollar. And I have no idea why the penny's in there, it's already gone. Do not shy away from doing business. There's nothing wrong with it. If anything, you should be selling, selling, selling and nothing else. We talked about this last night, which is we have great ideas in this country. One of the biggest flaws that we have in this country is that we don't take those ideas and convert them into actual product. We don't commercialize those ideas. Our execution is poor. And if we can make that execution even more phenomenal, we can commercialize it so that people actually purchase it and buy it, your business thrives. It is only about money and nothing else. Otherwise, business is by definition, is a transaction. It's a transaction of goods and services. I give you something, you give me something, whether it's barter or whether it's through cash or some sort of other liquid currency. Whatever it is, it's about money. Don't shy away from it. Thank you.